For Women's History Month, we wanted to highlight Delilah Beasley, a pioneering woman both as a historian and a journalist. Born September 9, 1867 in Cincinnati, Ohio, Delilah was writing stories at the age of 12 for the Cleveland Gazette. She came to California in 1910, residing in Oakland. She became active in the Black community in the Bay Area, attending lectures, and by 1925, she was a columnist for the Oakland Tribune newspaper, where she became the first Black woman to be published on a regular basis in a major metropolitan newspaper. She was instrumental in getting local newspapers to stop using racial language in their publications. With her accomplishments as a journalist aside, I wanted to really talk about her instrumental role as a historian. Delilah started researching at the Bancroft Library at the University of California, Berkeley, shortly after moving to California. She found that supposed comprehensive works like Hubert Howell Bancroft's History of California and Pioneer Index at the back of each of the 7 volumes focused on European American immigrants and prominent Californial families in California prior to 1850. She sought to expand the stories of early California history and cover underrepresented groups. She chronicled the history of Black individuals in California in her instrumental work that would be published in 1919. This study shed light on people of color that had been largely left out of early California history books. Regarding the 1840s, she made many cases of Black individuals being present at events that were not previously reported, such as at the Bear Flag Revolt. You had individuals like John Grider, who found the paint for William Todd to paint the bear and star on the Bear Flag. You have people like Jacob Dobson, who was traveling as part of the United States Topographical Corps with John C. Fremont and Kit Carson. Expanding into Gold Rush, Sacramento, Beasley detailed stories of the first Black public school teachers in California. You have Elizabeth Thorne Scott in 1854 and Jeremiah Burke Sanderson in 1855. Delilah continued to publish and was active in local civic organizations until her death in 1934. Though she spent 8 years in researching for her book, she knew that more stories would surface as historians did more research. And through combing through archives at the State Library and records like here at Sutter's Fort, historians today still try to stitch together narratives to try to discuss early Black history here in California. While Sutter's Fort was a site of colonization where a large majority of the work being done inside and outside the fort in the 1840s was by Native people, there are many mentions of people of African descent being here. These are people being mentioned in letters and in journals and in things like the daily logbook, the New Helvetia Diary that was kept up in the clerk's office. You have prominent stories like William Alexander Leidesdorff, who owned a rancho just east of John Sutter's New Helvetia land grant. Leidesdorff's rancho was Rancho Rio de los Americanos and encompassed the land that we know today as Rancho Cordova and Folsom. You have in Heinrich Lienhardt's memoirs a mention of Jim, who was a farmer outside of the fort. In regards to a letter that was made between John Sutter and Pearson Barton Redding in October 1844, he details 2 individuals, 2 new employees coming to work at the fort. You have Myers, who worked in the kitchen here at the fort, and you have Jackson, who was a first-rate cooper, making wooden buckets and barrels to transport goods out of Sutter's Fort. It's little mentions like stories of Jim, stories of Jackson and Myers and Leidesdorff, the building off of work that Delilah Beasley made over 100 years ago researching these stories that help us to better understand just how diverse Sutter's Fort and early California history was in the 1840s.